India has just beaten Pakistan in a low scoring thriller. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your new favorite cricket fan channel, Willow and Leather. This is Shravan joining you once again, trying to cover some of the action happening in the T20 World Cup happening in the US and West Indies. And as of, a few hours ago, India has beaten Pakistan in what has been a very, very exciting, low scoring contest. Very, very well competed and fought out between the two teams. And in the end, it is Team India who prevail by a margin of 6 runs. Right, so let's do a quick deep dive into the game. First and foremost, before even the game got underway, the rain gods decided to kind of, interrupt the party a little bit there. But fortunately enough, the rain interruption wasn't very long, and luckily we were able to get a full 40 over game despite some initial showers. But Pakistan winning the toss and rightfully putting India into bat. Given the tricky surface that the New York pitches have been, I think it made a lot of sense to bowl first, especially with the possibility of rainfall added into the mix as well. It was, I think, a very good decision to bowl first. And they made early inroads, right? Virat Kohli, only for the second time in his T20 World Cup career, getting out in front of the Pakistan bowling attack, and falling cheaply, trying to go after a very wide one from Naseem Shah. Eventually, it was just way too far out of his reach to be able to make any meaningful contact, and all he managed to do was just slap it flat straight to point. Losing Virat Kohli early was definitely a huge dent for India, given the performances that he's put in against Pakistan in the World Cups previously. Most recent one being in 2022, that magnificent 82 in Melbourne that steered India home. After that, Rohit Sharma fell fairly quickly as well. Got one away in the very first over, hitting it over square leg for a six. Tried to do something similar a couple of overs later, but I think it was a little bit of a risky shot. Given that side of the boundary wasn't very short, and they had a fielder placed exactly for that particular shot, so it was kind of unfortunate that it's not. It's not an issue with Rohit Sharma taking some risks, but that, I think, just fell right into the bowler's trap. He got away with it once in the very first over, but I think he still fancied himself. I felt like he could have probably picked some better scoring areas while he was out there. But unfortunate. Once Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma were both back in the hut, it was down to the youngsters in the team, if I can call some of these guys youngsters, but relatively newer guys in the team who probably been around the team for the last 5 years or so, with Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma being the only two senior batters in the team. Very, very odd and strange decision to send Akshar Patel in at number 4. I was watching the game obviously with the family at home, and none of us could really figure out what the motivation was behind that decision, because we already had Rishabh Pant, who's a left-hander, in at number 3. So getting in another left-hander at that point did not make sense. Now, if there was someone like a Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli on one end, and you bring in a left-hander, Akshar Patel, I could have made a little bit of sense of the decision, but very, very strange. I don't know if they were just trying to shield Surya Kumar Yadav from the new ball in the power play, which is very, very baffling to me. This particular game, now, if you've caught my preview video of the T20 World Cup that I did a few days ago, I mentioned this, that irrespective of whether India qualifies first or second in the group, their position as A1 in Group 1 for the Super 8s is already fixed. All they need to do is finish in the top 2, irrespective of whether you finish first or second. It has absolutely no bearing on your potential opponents in the Super 8 or your position in the Super 8, right? So, which is why I found it very, very strange and odd that they were trying to play very defensively as soon as both Kohli and Sharma were gone. Very, very strange. Yeah, I mean, you can think of it as sending up Akshar Patel to be a little bit more aggressive, but I think even guys like Surya Kumar Yadav and Hardik Pandya, for example, can be as aggressive as needed as well. And you would want your better batsmen to come as early into the game as possible. But yeah, very, very strange decision to send Akshar Patel. And I'm trying to make a sense of what the logic behind that is, and if this could be a potential option that we see later down in the tournament as we progress further as well. But Akshar Patel, I think, did his part. Tricky conditions at that point, but and the ball was definitely moving quite a bit. With those overcast conditions, I think Pakistan definitely made great use of the power play and the swinging ball. And Akshar Patel managed to stitch together a decent partnership with Rishabh Pant. Rishabh Pant, just doing Rishabh Pant kind of things, very unorthodox shots. Missed a few, had a few lucky chances, ball going up in the air and falling in no man's land. Taking a couple of leading edges and just beating first slip, going to the boundary. So yeah, he definitely had a fair share of luck in this particular innings, but that's how he rolls, and that's how Team India will want to continue using him. He's just going to play in his own particular style, and I think it's up to the other batsmen around him to play their natural game as well. And with the lineup, I think we can definitely put together a very competitive score in most games. But yeah, tactically very, very strange decision to send in Akshar Patel, who later perished for a decent score of 20 runs at that point. And Surya eventually had to come out, and Surya unfortunately just did not look comfortable at all, scoring 7 runs of 8 balls, I think it was. And in those first 7 balls that he faced, he didn't look, at ease. I think the Pakistani Pacers definitely, were on top at that point, and they continued that momentum ahead. And Surya, given the quality and the class batsman that he is, I just feel like sometimes he's a little too rash in terms of his shot selection. Like even the dismissal today, you had mid-off, cover, extra cover, all of these guys inside the circle, kind of like a power play field. All you had to do was place it in the gap, ground shot. Agreed, ground conditions were a little slow today, especially in those first few overs right after the rain. But it is more important for you as a batsman, even if you don't get a boundary, it's very important that you get a couple of the middle. And I think that was a good opportunity for him to really try and get a few of the middle and then start being a little bit more aggressive. But unfortunately, he decided to try and take the aerial route, hit it over mid-off, but completely mistiming it and, getting out at that point. And at that point, it was still a decent score until then. By the time Akshar Patel got out and Surya and Rishabh Pant were batting, I think at the end of 11 overs, we were 89 for 3. At that point, when you're already going at 8 runs and over and you have a decent amount of batting, you would hope to get to 160 at least. If not, even if the pitch conditions start to change a little bit with the platform that you've had, you would at least expect to get a run a ball from there and make your way up to 140. Right? I think 140 was the absolute bare minimum that we should have got. But then what we saw was just some absolutely poor batsmanship overall. Shivam Dube comes in and looks completely out of sorts. The first 3-4 balls that he played, can't remember whose bowling it was. It probably was Haris Rao's over, and he was barely able to get bat on ball. Just managed to survive that over, and then next over, I'm thinking, hopefully if a spinner comes in, which he did, Imad Wasim came on, and I was expecting Dube to be a little bit more aggressive, but again, was ultra conservative, ultra slow, in a very, very defensive mode in general, which is very, very surprising for me, given, to be honest, this match had barely any consequences, assuming, you already, Team India has already won against Ireland. Hopefully, you will be able to beat US and Canada both. So this is as less pressure of an India-Pakistan game that you can get if you're an India fan or if you're an Indian player. For Pakistan, it was the other way around. But for India, this was probably the least pressured India-Pakistan match that there ever has been. But unfortunately, India just seemed to, the batting especially seemed to just bottle it completely. Shivam Dube just looking completely out of sorts, and eventually getting out in a very poor fashion as well. And then who was it? Hardik Pandya comes out, and then the other end, I think Rishabh Pant was kind of starved of the strike for like 2-3 overs, and he was getting restless and itchy as well. And then he tried to hit one and mistiming it. And then Ravindra Jadeja comes in, and first ball hits it straight to cover. Now, all those three dismissals, Shivam Dube is caught in bowled, Rishabh Pant's catch at mid-off, and Jadeja's wicket catch at covers, all three of them showed that the pitch was kind of slowing up a little bit. The ball was just holding in the surface for that fraction of a second, because of which the batsmen were kind of getting through their shot just a little bit early, which was kind of surprising to see, especially for the first few overs. I think it was mostly the swing that was doing the damage, but the pitch seemed to behave fairly well. And this was definitely a much better pitch than we've seen in some of the previous games in New York, and it wasn't one of those pitches where the bounce was very unpredictable or uneven. Absolutely nothing like that. It definitely was on the slower side, but not something that was dangerous or unplayable. So I felt like we definitely lacked some sensible batting at that point of time, especially when you could see that the pitch was slowing up a little bit at that point once the sun started coming out. I think the batters should have done a much better job in terms of just applying themselves, putting the head down. Rishabh Pant as well, brilliant innings, getting 42 when everything else that was happening around him was happening, was very good to see. And I think he's fitting into that number 3 position very well for Team India at this point. So I'm really liking what I'm seeing with Rishabh Pant. Yes, he was a little streaky today, but runs are runs, no matter how you get them. He's never going to be a pretty or an elegant looking batsman, but that's not his style anyway. As long as he's able to effectively get those runs, I'll take it any day of the week. But yeah, once Rishabh Pant got out as well, and Jadeja got out, it was pretty much up to Hardik Pandya at that point to really shepherd the rest of the bowlers and the tailenders with him and try and take us to a respectable score of 130-140. And again, Hardik Pandya also, I think, missed a trick there. In that over, I think again it was Haris Rao's over probably. He got a boundary, he picked up a double, so it got like 6 runs of the first 3 balls or so. And despite that, Hardik Pandya just going for an aerial shot at that point of time was just absolutely unnecessary. All he needed to do was make sure that he was there till the 20th over. It did not matter how many runs he scored in that period, but by risking his wicket, he was exposing both sides of the wicket now, and we had a very good chance of being bowled out if Hardik Pandya got out, and that's exactly what happened. So I think Hardik Pandya could have definitely taken a lot more responsibility in terms of playing some safer shots, and maybe only in the last 1 or 2 overs he could have tried to go after the bowling and try to get a few hits away, and that I think could have made a difference of 10 or 15 runs in the end. Bumrah comes in and goes first ball as well, and for the last wicket, Mohammad Siraj hitting a few runs, Arshdeep coming in at number 10 got a few runs as well, or was it no, I think he came in at number 9 ahead of Bumrah, and he got a few runs, so that was really good to see. It's any runs that we get from our tailenders are a bonus, because none of these batters are known to get any sort of runs, and that is the dilemma because of which we are forced to play both Akshar Patel and Ravindra Jadeja in that lineup, because we need to lengthen our batting, because the tail absolutely offers no runs whatsoever. So with that in mind, I think the runs that Arshdeep got were great to see. Same thing with Mohammad Siraj as well, scoring 7 runs, and as usual, he gets so caught up in the moment and gets so excited. He hits one straight back to mid-off, which lands just in front of the fielder, and before you know it, he's already taken off for a single. Arshdeep rightfully, felt that there was no run there, which is actually true, and he just held his ground initially. But then once Siraj was almost there at the other end, Arshdeep had no choice but to try and take that run, and eventually, India getting bowled out for 119 with 1 full over to go. So very disappointing batting performance overall from Team India. I think Irrespective of the outcome of this game and the significance of this game, I think heading into some of the future games, this is not at all a good sign for the team. I think the batting needs to sort out their issues. I think all these players, having played on absolute flat tracks or belters over the last couple of months in the IPL, need to really apply and adapt themselves to be able to play according to the conditions and the situations in some of these games coming up in this rest of the tournament. So yeah, lots to ponder over, lots to think about for the batting unit as a whole. Complete lack of application from almost every single batter. Yes, Pakistan bowled fantastically well. Naseem Shah, pick of the bowlers, 3 wickets. So very good to see the way he performed. Haris Rauf picking up 3 wickets as well, slightly more on the expensive side, but all the 4 pacers doing exceptionally well for the team and chipping in with wickets. Amir picked up 2 wickets, I think. Shaheen Afridi picking up 1. So great performance overall from the bowlers. Absolutely great to see the Pakistan bowling unit coming together again. Second innings, things didn't start off too well for Team India. Yes, Pakistan didn't get off to a flyer, but they made sure that they didn't lose a wicket for the first 4-5 overs, which was crucial for them. Mohammad Rizwan did give a chance. I think it was around a square leg or slightly squarish fine leg where Shivam Dube was placed perfectly, the ball coming straight to his hands, and he just made an absolute mess of it. I just feel like the pressure of an India-Pakistan game got the better of Shivam Dube today. Absolutely looked like a deer in front of headlights while he was out there to bat. Did not feel comfortable at all. And even in the field, that dolly of a catch going down kind of summed up his performance for the day. Bumrah should have had that early breakthrough, but unfortunately that didn't happen. But later on, Bumrah comes back for his second over and picks up Babar Azam. Absolutely fantastic catch at first slip from Surya Kumar Yadav, and that at least opened up the doorway just a little bit, because we've seen what Babar and Rizwan did to Team India in the 2021 T20 World Cup, chasing 150 plus whatever that was for the loss of no wickets, right? They saw that chase through comfortably, and you could see memories of those coming back, but getting that initial breakthrough was super important, and I think that was a very, very key wicket at that point of time. Now, this is where I felt Pakistan missed out on a trick. At that point when they lost Babar Azam, I thought they could have tried a few different things, brought in Fakhar Zaman at 1 down, offering the left-hand option as well. And we all know how aggressive Fakhar Zaman can be. So now when you're chasing a target which is literally a run a ball, and you've gotten off to a decent start where you've not lost too many wickets in the power play, you can afford to have that one X-factor player in there. And for Pakistan's batting, it is definitely Fakhar Zaman, and he could have come in and got a quick fire 20 or 30 at that point. That could have wrapped up the game for Pakistan right then and there. But instead of that, they tried to play the conservative game. For whatever reason, they decided to take the game very deep instead of trying to seize on some crucial moments early on in the innings. They decided to just keep trying to stay on par with being at a run or run a ball or thereabouts, and trying to take the game as deep as possible, which did not make sense to me, unfortunately. So the Pakistan batting, same as the Indian batting, did not really show a whole lot of intelligence and sense out there. Usman came in at number 3, stayed around for a while, and then got out to Akshar Patel. And then what followed was basically really good pressure applied by the Indian bowlers. I think there were like a couple of overs in between where Hardik Pandya went for a 6. I think Rizwan took him for a 6. So that was a 9-run over. And I think another bowler came in and bowled another 9-run over as well. So there was this period where they were still just doing enough to stay above the required run rate. So seemed like Pakistan had things under control. But then Pakistan just doing Pakistan things again, losing their way in the middle. Akshar Patel comes in and bowls a very tight second over for just 2 runs at that point, and before you know it, of the last 4 overs they needed some 32 or 33 runs, and who was it? I think Hardik Pandya then comes in and bowls an exceptionally tight over, with Pakistan eventually needing 30 from 3 overs, with 1 over left each from Arshdeep, Siraj, and Jasprit Bumrah. So Hardik Pandya had, fantastic bowling spell, picking up 2 wickets for 24 runs in his 4 overs. This is exactly the kind of all-round performance. Not so with the bat today, but this is the kind of bowling strength that he brings to the team when he's firing as well. So Hardik Pandya is absolutely worth his weight in gold in this Indian lineup, and when he is able to give you 4 consistent overs like this and pick up 2 crucial wickets, it's absolutely fantastic. Hopefully he can do a little bit more with the bat as well. I'm confident that he'll come good in the coming games, but what he's doing with the ball right now is absolutely brilliant to see. The spinners as well, Jadeja and Akshar Patel, just doing their job fairly quietly, slipping in 2 overs each and keeping the runs to a fairly decent level as well. Mohammad Siraj comes in and bowls the 18th over and gives away, I think it was just 3 runs or 4 runs. Not 3-4 runs, maybe 5 or 6 runs at that point. But fantastic, spell nonetheless, finishing with 4 overs, none for 19. Very, very tight and economical spell from Mohammad Siraj, bowling in the power play, 1 over in the middle, and then again at the death. So he covered all 3 areas of the game and kept the batsman quiet every time he came on. But man, let's talk about Jasprit Bumrah, man of the match, picking up 3 fantastic wickets for just 14 runs. Every time he came on to bowl, it looked like he was going to pick up a wicket. And Pakistan, didn't really have any answers for his bowling, which has been the case with a lot of batting teams these days. Jasprit Bumrah is slowly, transforming himself into an absolute elite world-class bowler. He's been that for a while now, but these are the kind of games, if he can put together a good run of games here in this particular World Cup, I think this could very well be his tournament. So watch out for Bumrah in the upcoming games as well. But the way he's charging into bowl right now, it's not looking great for the batsmen, and I think the batters will have to do a lot more homework and try and be a little braver against him to be able to score off of him, because as of right now, those 4 overs from Bumrah, Rohit Sharma is using him very effectively as well. He's the one who's providing breakthroughs and looks like he's going to be providing breakthroughs every time he comes on to bowl. Absolutely fantastic peach to get rid of Babar Azam earlier. Then actually blew the game open by picking up Mohammad Rizwan's wicket in those middle overs as well. And then coming in at the death in the 19th over and again picking up the big wicket at that time, which was Iftikhar. Pakistan, what was it, needing 19 runs or 18 runs, I think it was, in the final over, and Arshdeep just comes in and, does the job pretty well. Went for a couple of boundaries, but, at that point, the equation was a little too much for them to overcome, and eventually India, defending 119 very successfully. So, fantastic effort from the bowlers once again. I think bowlers from both the sides should feel very, very proud and happy with how they did today. But the Indian bowlers, everyone who came in really held their own, put the pressure on the Pakistan batsmen, and Jasprit Bumrah spearheading the attack, but ably well supported by everyone else. And India walk away with 2 points in what has become an instant classic, absolute thriller after all these 200, 220, 250 games that we saw in the IPL over the last couple of months. It is fantastic to see a low-scoring game, low-scoring thriller where both teams are struggling to, get to 120. Well done to Team India, 2-2 now. Next up, we'll be playing Canada on June 12th, which is the Wednesday. US on June 12th, and then Canada on June 15th. So US is the red hot team right now as well, coming off of 2 back-to-back victories. But I think India will probably prove to be a little too strong for them. But hopefully it's an exciting game, and we'll see what happens there. But the more interesting game in the group now is going to be the USA-Ireland game. I believe that happens on the 14th, the Friday. And that game is likely going to decide who's going to be the second team that qualifies from our group, from Group A. Pakistan, having lost to the US, I think they are in a world of trouble right now. Their only way to get back into the competition seriously would have been to beat India today, and they were very close to doing it. Unfortunately, not coming off for them. But yeah, this leaves Pakistan in a world of trouble, because their fate is no longer in their hands. Because if USA beats Ireland, which is seeming more and more possible now, because Canada just defeated Ireland a couple of days ago as well, in what many would consider an upset. But USA having beaten Canada and having beaten Pakistan, I think they'll have a lot of wind beneath their wings, and I think they will definitely come out hard against Ireland. And if Ireland go down to US have 3 wins under their belt already, so they will qualify instead of Pakistan. That seems like a very, very high possibility now, but we'll have to stay tuned. If US loses to Ireland, then it might come down to run rate, etc. So Pakistan will first of all hope that US loses to both India and to Ireland, but also Pakistan will be hoping to get a couple of big wins under their belt with a very high run rate against Ireland and Canada as well. So let's see. That USA-Pakistan game just blew the group wide open now. So it'll be very exciting to see how things progress. But yeah, good couple of games to look forward to in this coming week for Group A. In terms of other groups as well, a lot of exciting games that happened over the last 2 or 3 days. Australia beating England very convincingly, putting up 200 plus, which was, it's become a rarity in this World Cup, but they did exceptionally well and batted really, really well as a unit. I think it was probably the first instance in a T20 World Cup where a team has scored 200 plus without a single batter scoring 50. In fact, not even a single batter got 40 in their lineup. There were like a bunch of 30 plus scores, which just goes to show how as a unit you can come together and score those quick-fire 20-30 runs and still take the team to a very sizable total. England in response got off to a fantastic start with Phil Salt and Josh Butler, but once those two got out, the chase kind of really fizzled out, and eventually losing by a good margin of 35 runs. I think it was close to that. Australia really setting the benchmark now, I guess, in terms of one of the teams to watch out for. It's just, it's crazy to see how Australia as a team comes together when there is an ICC event happening. Absolute elite mentality. So, great to see them performing well, beating the defending champions England. England have a little bit of work cut out for them, but again, with the other teams in the group, they shouldn't have too many problems qualifying at least, and then they'll have to do well in the Super 8s. So definitely not counting England out at this point. I think they're still one of the favorites to be in those top 4 spots for the semis as well. In the other groups, South Africa almost, getting those deja vu feelings back again, on the brink of losing to Netherlands, but managed to kind of, crawl their way to victory eventually. Netherlands didn't really do themselves a favor by not scoring too many runs, but when they came out to bowl, getting South Africa to 12 runs for 4 wickets, that was an incredible start. But then Tristan Stubbs, David Miller coming together, and David Miller, staying there till the end and finishing the game off. There definitely would have been a few jitters in the South African camp, but they managed to pull out a victory. So with that, they've beaten Sri Lanka and they've beaten Netherlands as well. So they're sitting pretty on 4 points too. West Indies absolutely demolishing Uganda, bowling them out for 39. which is joint lowest score, I think it is, in the T20 World Cups. So yeah, West Indies are putting their hand up as a serious contender this time around in the World Cup. So I'm sure they'll make it to the Super 8s, and from there on, it just depends on which team does well on those particular days. But yeah, I think they're definitely one of the teams to watch out for this season too. Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, yet another thriller from them as well. Again, one of those low scoring games. I think it was just a 125-ish target that Sri Lanka managed to set, and I think some very, very poor batting from Sri Lanka in certain situations or in certain parts of the game. But eventually coming back very strongly with the ball, but just not doing enough. And Bangladesh, I think it was loss of 8 wickets. Mahmudullah there at the end, seeing the team through. But these Lanka Bangladesh games are becoming like instant classics again. They have a lot going on between the two teams in terms of rivalry and grudge matches, etc. So it's a lot of fun, and especially when the games go down to the wire like this one did, it's always great to see those kind of games as well. So yeah, a lot of fantastic games happening in this edition of the World Cup. We've already had 2 super overs. So yeah, it's definitely been a lot of close matches, a lot of low scoring close matches, which is absolutely wonderful to see as well. Although I don't think I'm a big fan of the 100 or a 120 kind of a score. I think anything in the 150 to 170 range, I think, can be very, very exciting matches as well. But yeah, a lot of the favorites are starting to put their hands up and getting together some wins. Some massive upsets as well. Canada beating Ireland was a massive upset. Afghanistan, beating New Zealand was an absolute fantastic performance from them. Did fairly well with the bat, but New Zealand, to be honest, in those first 10 overs of their fielding, were completely all over the place, dropping a few sitters, missing a few run-out chances. They just did not look like a typical New Zealand team does. And then with the bat, absolute horror show, just giving away wickets, playing some rash shots early on, and then just not showing enough application to be able to play well against the Afghani spinners. And Afghanistan with probably their biggest victory in their history. I mean, they've beaten some pretty impressive teams, but the way this game went down, I think it was a very, very comprehensive win eventually for Afghanistan. So that just opens up that particular group as well. So it'll be very exciting to see how the rest of that group fixtures go and how things pan out there. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. It is West Indies, which is the other big team in that group. So we'll have to keep an eye out on which are the 2 teams that qualify now. But yeah, fun times. Very, very exciting games that have happened already. A lot of fun games coming up in the rest of the group stages as well. So I'll continue making some videos as and when possible to cover some of the other action from some of the other games as well. But yeah, just to wrap it up, fantastic performance, fantastic comeback from Team India in the second innings, managing to defend a rather undefendable score of 119, and they make it 6-1 against Pakistan in T20 World Cups. Pakistan on the brink of elimination. Not happy days for them, but they'll be keeping their fingers crossed that USA can muck up a couple of their games coming up, and Pakistan can put in some good performances, and they can still sneak their way into the Super 8s. Well, thank you so much, folks, for tuning in. This is Shravan with Willow and Leather. Please do share this video with your friends and family. Thanks once again for all the love and support. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.